Hey everyone, today's video will focus on configuring Nginx Proxy Manager via Docker Compose. This tutorial is really easy to set up, easy to configure. I think this is the quickest and easiest way to get a reverse proxy up and running in your self-hosted environment. We will be using Cloudflare, DNS Challenge, and Let's Encrypt for obtaining SSL and TLS certificates. And finally, I'll be showing you how to set up Authentik, an open source identity provider that offers authentication and authorization services to your configured host. All right, let's jump in. All right, so let's start off with the compose.yaml file. So this is the official file from their GitHub repository with a few changes made. So I've added the container name, Nginx_proxy, and I've added the network configuration name, npm. And we will create this network before starting the container. So that's why we have the external equals true here at the bottom. So we will be accessing the web admin page on port 81. But once we configure Nginx reverse proxy hosts, we'll comment out the port 81 configuration. So now we can create the npm Docker network with one simple command, sudo docker network create npm. And now we can start the container by running the command sudo docker compose up-d. All right, now that Nginx reverse proxy is up and running, let's go to the web page, the web admin page. So when you first go to the admin page, you'll need to use the default admin email address and password to log in. So the default user will be admin@example.com, and then the default password will be change me, all lowercase. You'll need to edit the default user when you log in. So for this setup, I'm going to keep the full name and nickname the same. I'm just going to change the email. Then you'll need to change the password as well. And now we're logged in. All right, so the first thing we want to do is configure an SSL certificate. And to do that, we'll go over to SSL Certificates and we'll click Add. For the domain name, we want to use a wildcard or asterisk domain so that this one SSL certificate can be used for multiple hosts. And the root domain should be the domain that you have already brought. So I'll configure mine now. For me, it'll be *npm.genihome.net. Then you'll want to add your Let's Encrypt email. Make sure you've selected Use a DNS Challenge. And if you go to DNS provider, there's plenty to choose from. But the one that you want to select for this tutorial is Cloudflare. All right, once you have Cloudflare selected, you'll see for the credentials file content is asking for an API token. And I'll show you how to create one now. All right, so once you log into Cloudflare, you want to go to your profile and then API tokens. From here, you want to click Create Token, and then at the bottom, you want to choose Create Custom Token. You give your API token a name. For permissions, you'll want to choose zone, read, and then you want to add one more permission for zone, DNS, and edit. For zone resources, you're going to choose include specific zone, and then you want to select your domain name, your root domain. You'll continue the summary, and then you'll click Create Token. And then be sure to copy the token down. All right, so now that we have the token, we can enter that into the credentials file content agree to the Let's Encrypt terms of service, and click Save. Once it's done processing, you'll see the status of this SSL certificate, and you'll see that the status is inactive, and that's because we haven't configured any hosts yet. So let's do that right now. So what you want to do is you want to click over to Host tab, and you want to choose Proxy Hosts. So for this tutorial, we'll be configuring 3 proxy hosts to test. One for this web admin page, one for Authentik, both of which are located on the same server and within the same Docker network that we created earlier. And then we'll be creating one more host for Pi-hole, which is residing on a completely different server. Just keep in mind, I've already updated my DNS entries with the host that I'll be configuring. So first we'll do the web admin page. You want to click on Add Proxy Host. For the domain name, I'm just going to choose nginx.npm.gmail.net. For the scheme, I'm going to leave it at HTTP. For the forwarded host name /IP, here I can just put the container name for the Nginx reverse proxy. And if you remember, it was Nginx_proxy. And this is because in Docker, when containers are connected to the same user-defined network, they can communicate using their container names as host names. And this is possible because how Docker uses a built-in DNS system that resolves the container names within the same network. And then for the forward port, as you can see, we're using port 81, so we'll put 81 here. And then you can check cache access, block common exploits, and WebSocket support if you want. Then you want to tab over to the SSL, and then you want to select the SSL certificate that we created earlier, the wildcard certificate. And then you can also check Force SSL, HTTP2 support, HSTS enabled if you want. And then you'll click Save. The status says it's online, so let's see if we can reach this host using the URL. Open up a new tab. And as you can see, it's working. No errors have occurred. So now what we can do is we can go back to the Nginx reverse proxy compose.yaml file, and we can comment out that port 81 configuration as we can now access the admin page using the URL. Going back to proxy host, now I'm going to configure Authentik the same way I did for the admin page. So you want to click on Add Proxy Host. We're going to give it a domain name, which for me is going to be authentik.npm.gmail.net. Scheme is going to be at HTTP. And remember, since Authentik is on the same Docker network that we created earlier, we can just put the container name, which for me is just Authentik, and then the port that Authentik is using, which is port 9000. And you set up SSL the same way as before. We'll select the npm wildcard certificate, and then we'll click Save. Now that we have that created, let's see if we can reach out to it. So you can just click on the source right here and see, and it'll create a new page to open up. And as you can see, we can reach it. That works as well as intended. So lastly, we're going to configure Pi-hole. We're going to click Add Proxy Host. For the domain name, I'm just going to put pi-hole.npm.gmail.net. Since Pi-hole is on a different server, we need to specify the IP address of the server that Pi-hole is on for the forward host name and IP. So for me, it'll be 192.168.8.11. Then the port will just be 80. We'll set up SSL the same way as the other ones. We'll choose the wildcard certificate. And then something specific for Pi-hole, you need to go over to the advanced tab and you need to add this line of code right here. This is because you need to be redirected to the /admin page whenever you access Pi-hole. So you'll click save. As you can see, this is online as well. And let's see if we can reach it by clicking on the source. And as you can see, we can reach Pi-hole as well. And this is running on a different server. Now we can move on to setting up Authentik. So I've already done a tutorial on Authentik, so please watch that video for the initial setup. However, once you're logged in, you want to go to create a new application. And we will do it for the Nginx admin page to put behind Authentik for this tutorial. So you want to click on the admin interface and you'll go over to applications and then we'll click create with provider. We'll give it a name, we'll use npm and click next. Now you want to select proxy provider and click next. Then for the authentication flow, authorization flow, you want to choose either explicit or implicit, depending on your preference. It doesn't really matter. Then you want to select forward auth single application. And then for the external host, you'll put the URL to the Nginx reverse proxy web admin page, which will be nginx.npm.geniehome.net. You can choose the token validity, how long you want the token to last. And then you'll click next. Then you'll click next again, and then submit. Next, we need to add the application to the embedded outpost. So what you want to do is you want to click on Outpost. You're going to click Edit. We're going to choose the application that we've created earlier. We're going to click the arrow to place it over to the selected applications. Then we're going to click Update. And that's really all we have to do for within Authentik dashboard. Now we need to add some configuration within the Nginx proxy host that we created earlier. So what you want to do is you want to click on the three little dots and you want to click Edit. We're editing the Nginx host. You want to tab over to the Advanced tab. And here there's some code that we need to add. So here is the code that we need to add in the Advanced tab. And this is the official block of code that's from the Authentik website. And we only need to change one line item, and that's on the second block of code for the location. You'll want to change the proxy pass right here to your Authentik container name right here. So for me, the only change will be HTTP Authentik and then port 9000. And that's the only change you need to make to this line of code. So we'll go ahead and put that now within the Advanced tab, and then we'll click Save. I've already made the change in the code. So now let's log out of Authentik first. So now let's test and see if it works. So when going to the website, I get redirected to log into Authentik. So I put in my username and my password. And it's asking me to explicitly allow permission to access this page. And as you can see, we have success. And there you have it. And relatively easy tutorial on how to configure Nginx reverse proxy and configure Authentik as well. If you found this video helpful, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more tech tips tutorials. If you have questions or you want to share your own self-experience, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Until next time.